Welcome back to A Powerless Mage Presents. If you've ever felt really stuck, just frustrated with your lack of progress, or maybe just unsure why you spend so much energy on things that just don't seem to move the needle in your life, then today's deep dive is absolutely for you.
It really is. We're going to be addressing a foundational problem that I think underpins so much of that dissatisfaction. It comes down to the way we use two words, value and importance.
Right. We just throw them around like they're the same thing.
We do. We treat them as synonyms. But the source material you share with me provides a clear, practical, and honestly, a very persuasive distinction between the two. And when you really adopt these definitions, it gives you an immediate blueprint for prioritizing action over just, feeling.
Okay, let's unpack this with a scenario. And this isn't just some thought experiment. It's a framework for survival. I want you, our listener, to just close your eyes for a second and truly visualize this.
Get into the scene.
You are completely lost. You are standing dead center in the middle of the vast, unforgiving Sahara Desert. It is brutally hot. You have no water, no shade, no map, and your phone battery, it's dead. You are facing an imminent existential threat.
But in your hand, you are clutching something objectively spectacular. A flawless, certified investment-grade diamond. Let's say it is worth $1 million.
$1 million. It's a masterpiece of geological compression, a testament to rarity and global finance. But you're also facing a clock, and it's counting down your remaining moments due to dehydration.
So the question is immediately twofold. What is more important to you right now? And what is more valuable? Is that diamond important? Is the diamond valuable?
Most of us, we instinctively know the diamond is useless in that moment, but why? We need to go beyond just saying, oh, water is more important. We need a mechanism to really understand how and why those two concepts, value and importance, suddenly diverge so dramatically when survival is on the line.
Yeah, and that's our mission today. We want to transform value and importance from just, words in a dictionary into practical, intuitive tools for your daily life. The goal is to show you a shortcut to understanding what truly drives action, survival, and progress. We're going to use this framework to reveal why you might be dedicating massive amounts of time to valuable activities that yield no real change.
We are going to make the case that by seeing the difference between these two concepts, you gain a unique lens through which to view your goals, your habits, and maybe most critically, your sources of procrastination. Let's begin this deep dive by focusing entirely on the concept of importance, the driver of change.
Okay, so we're starting with what seems like a semantic oddity. The source material asks us to consider importance as a measure, even though it lacks standardized units like, meters or pounds.
And that's a crucial starting point. We measure time in seconds, we measure distance in meters, but we absolutely measure importance, we just do it comparatively. Think about how we talk every day.
All the time. This budget meeting is more important than responding to those emails. Or I think studying for this final exam is less important than getting a solid 8 hours of sleep right now. This ability to qualify and rank things, it confirms that our brains are inherently using importance as a relative metric.
But because we don't have a standardized unit, you can't say that assignment has 40 degrees of importance. It becomes immediately wildly subjective. And we have to stress the subjectivity. Importance varies wildly depending on the individual, their environment, and critically, their current context.
Exactly. What is supremely important to you right now, say hitting a tight deadline, is utterly meaningless to someone living in a remote village with completely different priorities. The context dictates the importance.
So if it's a subjective measure, then what are we actually measuring? What's the constant?
Right. What's the core element that lets us say one thing is more important than another? The answer, according to this framework, is consequence. We are measuring the degree of consequence an object or an action has on the current state of affairs. How much does it change things?
Let's use some of the practical, everyday examples from the sources to illustrate this. I think the idea of punctuality is a surprisingly powerful way to see this measurement in action.
It's perfect. Why is arriving 5 minutes late to a casual staff meeting? Not that important. It might warrant a brief apology, maybe a minor ripple in the schedule, but it usually doesn't dramatically change the outcome of the meeting or the overall structure of the day.
It doesn't break anything, but now contrast that with arriving an hour and a half late.
Oh, that's critical. And why? Because that level of tardiness forces an unavoidable, significant change. The agenda has to be compressed, core decisions might be missed, or more likely, the meeting just gets canceled.
And then everyone's day is thrown off.
Exactly. It forces rescheduling, it wastes everyone else's time. The difference between 5 minutes and 90 minutes is purely the level of change it forces upon the existing context.
And we see the same thing with work attendance, right?
We do. Missing one day of work is usually absorbed by the system. It's a low-consequence event. A coworker covers your task, or maybe a deadline gets shifted slightly. It's a minor ripple. The overall reality of the company and your job remains stable.
But missing 15 consecutive days.
That's high consequence. That forces a dramatic institutional change. The company has to hire and train a replacement, incurring financial and temporal costs. And for you, it forces the life-altering change of losing your income. So importance is directly tied to consequential outcomes, not just some moral judgment about whether being on time is good.
So this is the central tool. The persuasive definition we want you to adopt is this. Importance measures the level of change an action or object it can create, or its ability to prevent change.
If something has a high capacity to shift your current reality or to lock down your desired reality, it is important. This is, I think, the ultimate tool for combating procrastination. Procrastination is so often just avoiding that high consequence action.
To dive a little deeper, the sources offer a really useful way to view importance through two different lenses. And we shouldn't dismiss these as too technical because they help us understand the two main categories of action we take every day. Grabbing opportunity versus managing risk.
We can think of it as positive importance and negative importance. And let's forget the idea of good and bad for a moment. These are purely descriptive of the effect on the status quo.
Right, so positive importance is the engine of opportunity. It promotes changes. If you are applying for a new job or launching a new product or deciding to learn a new skill, that action is designed to move you from where you are now to a dramatically different situation.
It forces change in pursuit of a better outcome. And though we have negative importance, which is the engine of risk mitigation, it maintains the status quo by preventing a bad change.
Okay, so that's like diligently saving money or performing preventative maintenance on your car or maintaining healthy boundaries with difficult people.
Precisely. The action itself, saving money, is designed to prevent a negative change, like a future financial disaster.
So if you're trying to build a career, the actions of positive importance are things like getting a promotion, networking, skill acquisition. And the negative importance actions are focused on what? Doing your current job well so you don't get fired.
Exactly. Maintaining high quality in your current work, ensuring you meet deadlines so you don't lose the job you have. They are both equally important, but they serve different survival functions.
This helps us clarify why the terms can be confusing. For instance, keeping a job is a beneficial outcome, but the ongoing effort to maintain it is a form of negative importance. It actively prevents the change of unemployment.
Right. And losing a job, while it's harmful, is an event of positive importance because it violently forces a change in your financial, professional, and personal reality. It's a catalyst for major forced change.
This framework really simplifies risk management. I think a lot of people who feel stuck are only engaging in actions of negative importance. They're just trying to keep bad things from happening.
Treading water.
Exactly. They never engage in the risky, high-leverage actions of positive importance that actually generate the breakthrough change they desperately want.
So let's bring it back to the Sahara. In that context, the diamond has zero capacity to generate a positive, change-like rescue or prevent a negative one like death. Its monetary worth is utterly insignificant. It has no importance in that moment.
But a tiny patch of shade.
If you encounter a tiny patch of shade, that shade suddenly gains massive importance because it slightly, temporarily, prevents the negative change of hyperthermia.
This is the practical use of the definition. It cuts through all the abstraction and just asks, what is the highest leverage action right now? If your biggest challenge right now is physical exhaustion and burnout, the most important action isn't reading 5 books on productivity.
No, that's low leverage.
It's logging off your computer immediately and making sure you get 8 hours of sleep. That one action has the highest immediate capacity to prevent a negative change, like a collapse, and promote a positive one, like restoring your energy.
We have to adopt this pragmatic lens. If an action or object is important, it must be because it measurably impacts the outcome.
Okay, that gives us a really solid foundation for importance. It's all about context and consequential change.
So thinking about your biggest current challenge, What one small action would measure as having the highest level of importance, the highest capacity for change, or the highest leverage right now? Just reflect on that for a moment. Don't think about what feels good. Think about what creates movement.
So if importance is about external context and the measurable capacity for change, that's survival. But we also operate on feeling, on passion, on connection. Let's shift gears and ask, what drives value?
Value, much like importance, is profoundly subjective. It's unique to each person. But the key difference here is its source. While importance depends on the external context, the Sahara or the office value depends on our emotional connections, the links we establish with reality, and the feelings and sensations those links produce in us.
So value is purely rooted in personal connection and sentiment.
Yes. When we talk about value, we're talking about what moves you internally. It's what you cherish. A sense of nostalgia, comfort, joy, or security. These are subjective experiences. A specific song might have immense value to you because it was playing during a pivotal moment in your life. That's pure affective value.
We have to pause here, though, because this is where the confusion really gets born. I can hear listeners arguing, but wait, money, gold, or a safe investment? Those things are objectively valuable, right? Everyone agrees on their worth.
That's a great challenge, and a very common one.
Doesn't the stock market set an objective value?
It sets a market value, but even that market value has subjective roots. Let's trace it back. Why is a specific bank offering a better investment performance? It's because millions of people collectively have confidence in that bank. Confidence that they will manage the money effectively, confidence that the regulatory environment is stable.
So it's about belief.
Exactly. The source material uses the interest rate example perfectly. The value of an interest rate is partially derived from people's subjective confidence in investing their money. That confidence, that belief system, that emotional link to security, that's what drives the supposedly objective financial metric. If mass confidence disappeared tomorrow, the market value would collapse.
That makes perfect sense. The objectivity of financial value is just the aggregation of a whole lot of subjective belief.
Now let's explore why we confuse importance and value so often. They overlap constantly. We inherently assign high value to things that are important. And why is that?
Because if something keeps you alive or makes your life better, you're going to feel good about it.
Of course. Anything truly important, like preserving your health, securing your job, protecting your family, it maintains or improves our emotional connections and our ability to experience a positive reality. If something is important, it almost always enhances our valued affective ties, so we naturally assign value to it too.
So the moment of separation, the key to this whole deep dive, is when we encounter something we consider highly valuable, deeply connected to our emotions, but that does not have the capacity to change or prevent change in our current context.
The source asserts that in that pure state, where there's high value but zero capacity for change, we cannot truly consider it important.
Okay, let's use a highly relatable example. Say you have a piece of artwork your child made in kindergarten, a drawing filled with crayon scribbles. It is immensely valuable to you. It triggers joy, nostalgia, a powerful connection to your child's past.
So it's high value. But if that drawing is framed and placed safely on a wall and it just sits there for 5 years, never influencing your behavior, your job search, your budgeting, or your health choices, then it's valuable, but it's not important. It's an emotional anchor, not a change agent.
It only becomes important when that object triggers action. Maybe one day you look at that artwork and realize you haven't prioritized time with your child lately. And seeing the drawing changes your behavior, you instantly schedule a day off to spend with them, fundamentally altering your daily routine.
Then the drawing gained importance because it acted as a catalyst for behavioral change. Until that moment, it was pure, passive, affective value.
This is the difference between doing and feeling. And I think many people who feel stuck are caught in the trap of focusing solely on valuable but unimportant activities.
Oh, absolutely. They'll spend hours reading motivational quotes, which is valuable, it makes them feel inspired, or they buy new exercise gear, also valuable, feels like progress, but they never actually start the difficult, important action. They never do the workout or send the difficult email.
The focus on value gives comfort, but it doesn't create change.
Which leads us to the simplest, most definitive summary of the relationship. This is the rule you can use as your daily compass. Everything important is valuable, but not everything valuable is important.
Say that again?
Everything important is valuable. Not everything valuable is important. If you are seeking solutions to dissatisfaction, you need to dissect your priorities. Are you spending all your time on things that are only valuable, making you feel busy or comfortable right now, like scrolling social media?
Or are you tackling things that are truly important, that will actually change your reality for the better?
The latter requires action and often discomfort. The former provides an immediate emotional payoff. So let's reflect on this concept of pure value. What is one thing you hold high value for right now? Something tied purely to emotion or connection. But if you remove that emotional link, it would have zero practical importance to your day-to-day life. Think about where your emotional energy is anchored without generating any actual movement.
Okay, so since both importance and value are fundamentally subjective, unique to each person, we run into this massive sharing problem.
Right.
If I think saving money is the most important thing, and my partner thinks spontaneously spending it on experiences is most important, our shared future is in trouble.
Yes. Or if every person in a company has a different measure of what's important, the company just falls apart.
So what's the solution?
The solution is context and community. The easiest way to align value and importance across multiple people is to establish common, agreed-upon rules and expectations within a structured environment, a workplace, a family, a community, or even a government. This agreement establishes a shared context, defining what matters, and thus, what the most important actions are for collective survival and success.
The source material gives that perfect corporate example. Say you join a company that champions commitment and creativity. The company doesn't just hope these things are important, they actively make them important.
They do. They communicate this through a mission statement, internal talks, quarterly reviews, and mechanisms that actively reward these behaviors and punish shortcuts. They're structurally forcing the alignment of importance for the collective good.
However, this persistent internal subjectivity is why these systems always break down somewhere. Even in that highly structured environment, you will inevitably find the employee who acknowledges the label of importance.
Right, they know they're supposed to be committed and creative.
But who personally seeks the easiest path. They might agree that creativity is valuable as a concept, but they haven't internalized its importance in their own actions. Their personal importance measure, which is tied to avoiding work, overrides the company's stated importance measure.
That's a perfect illustration of the disconnect.
Now, this is the section where we have to address the biggest challenges to the definitions we've presented. I know listeners might be thinking about abstract concepts that seem to defy this definition of change. Things like family honor, respect, or sacred objects. These don't seem to measure change directly, so how can we call them important? They feel purely valuable.
And this is where the persuasive power of the definition shines brightest. We need to look beyond the object or the label itself and look at its consequence for behavior. These things are important precisely because of the level of change they exert on individual behavior and community structure.
Okay, so take sacred symbols, for example. The symbol itself, say a cross, a crescent, or a flag. It's just wood or stone or cloth. Its material value might be low.
But it's profoundly important because it represents the ideals, customs, and beliefs of a group of people. It acts as a constant, visible reminder of a shared code of conduct, a set of rules.
So by existing and being revered, that symbol continuously changes the behavior of the followers.
Yes. It dictates how they treat others, how they structure their week, what risks they're willing to take. It shapes their daily decisions. If you remove the symbol and the shared beliefs it represents, the community identity and behavior changes dramatically. Therefore, the symbol is important because of its immense, ongoing capacity to influence and regulate change within that community.
And the same applies to abstract values we hold dear, like respect or honor.
Exactly. Values like respect, honor, and creativity are important because they shape the behavior of people and the community in a positive, predictable way. They promote beneficial systemic change. They create a trusting environment.
Conversely, values like deception and betrayal are also important.
But for the most negative reasons.
Why?
They shape the community in a tremendously damaging way, leading to serious consequences and unwanted rapid changes, often destroying trust entirely. In every case, the significance of the abstract concept is derived from its capacity to influence action and dictate outcomes.
Let's go back to a personal example, the family relic. Maybe it's an old painting or an heirloom watch. The affective value, the connection to the past, is high. It's valuable because it makes you feel linked to your family history. It is passive.
But when does that heirloom become important? It becomes important if the story behind it, perhaps an ancestor struggled immensely to achieve something, represents deep conviction that inspires the current owner. If reading that ancestor's story compels you to finally start that business, or to dedicate yourself to a difficult course of study, it has gained importance.
Because it prompted a significant, measurable change in your life.
The importance is derived from its capacity to influence future action.
We also have to stress the incredibly dynamic nature of these concepts. Importance and value depend entirely on the moment they're perceived and the context they exist within.
Let's revisit the desert one last time to illustrate this rapid shift. The diamond is unimportant in the desert because it cannot facilitate survival. It's low leverage. But imagine if, a minute later, a rescue helicopter flies overhead and asks you to signal them immediately, using a reflective object.
Suddenly, the diamond,
which was moments ago a useless burden, suddenly gains massive importance. It now has the capacity to facilitate the critical change survival.
Context is everything. The ultimate ruthless framework for prioritization is this, according to the sources. Survival dictates importance.
That's it. What is important is whatever keeps you alive, physically, mentally, or financially, or improves your chances of navigating the environment successfully. If you apply this to your daily life, your survival is dictated by high-leverage actions that promote or prevent the most significant changes in your health, relationships, and finances.
Okay, now let's use the ultimate test, the moment of reckoning, to solidify this persuasive argument. Think about your company's fire safety protocols. Are they important or are they valuable?
Objectively, they are incredibly important. They protect lives and prevent catastrophic negative change.
But imagine a person who works in that building. They know the protocols are important. They have the training certificate. They can recite the steps. But they consistently ignore maintenance checks or leave boxes blocking the exit because they find the protocols inconvenient.
This person has attached the label of importance to the rules, but their actions prove they do not truly believe those protocols are valuable enough to warrant consistent effort.
Their behavior indicates that, internally, these rules are not important to them. They haven't internalized the consequence.
And the sources highlight that these people only rediscover the true importance of those protocols when, through negligence, the negative change occurs. When the fire alarm goes off and the exit is blocked, they only internalize the importance after the disaster starts.
The goal, then, for anyone trying to stop feeling stuck is to bridge that gap. Stop treating that essential habit like exercising or saving money or setting firm personal boundaries as merely a valuable idea, something nice to think about.
And recognize its profound ability to change your life if you act on it today, before the negative change, illness, debt, or burnout forces the issue. That recognition turns a valuable concept into an important action.
This is the application we want you to take away. Look at a habit or a protocol you know you should adopt. Maybe it's starting that difficult project or having that necessary difficult conversation. Are you treating it as merely a valuable idea, something that just makes you feel prepared? Or have you recognized its profound importance, its ability to change your life if you act on it today, generating the leverage you need? #tagoutro. We started this deep dive with the $1 million diamond in the desert and ended with the critical nature of fire drills, but the core mechanism is, well, it's clear and consistently applicable.
It is. The final synthesis is simple and powerful. Importance is about measuring change in context. It's a survival mechanism that requires action. Value is about measuring emotional connection and effective preference. It's an internal anchor. When you're looking for solutions to dissatisfaction and seeking to prioritize action, use importance as your guide.
Use importance to triage your time, your money, and your energy. If an action doesn't measurably change or prevent change, it's valuable. It might feel good, but it is likely not important enough to consume your limited focus right now. Find the leverage. Find the change agent.
Don't simply take our word, put everything you heard here to the test. Make this knowledge truly yours.
We invite you to share your ideas, your thoughts, and experiences on this distinction in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this step dive or found it useful, please like the podcast and subscribe to learn more about similar topics. Remember, the power is yours.
Golden watch upon my wrist, I once believed it marked success. Corner office, polished car, I pushed myself to earn all this. But when my health began to fade, those trophies lost their glow. Your hand hospital meant more than wealth could show. Like shifting sands beneath our feet, what matters turns with ebb and flow. Yesterday's treasures